Good morning.
Good morning, Anne.
Good morning, everybody. This is Monday Morning Coffee with Kyle and Ann. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Anne.Rossley. I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Kyle Harvey. We sell real estate in downtown Chicago. We're with Baird & Warner's Gold Coast office, and we come to you every Monday morning at this time to talk about real estate. Hi.
What a gorgeous day. It's going to be almost 50.
Is it really?
That's what it said. I accept.
I accept, yes. I'll have to find even more reasons to be outside. It's balmy. It's fantastic.
Yeah. People complain about Chicago winter. I don't.
You know,
all the time.
It's all in preparation. It's all in how you prep to go outside. So
yeah,
it's all good.
Light coat today.
Yeah.
Excellent. So what have we got, Anne?
So today we're going to talk, as usual, about Chicago statistics. We've got first of the month statistics, talk about January, and then we're going to talk about what's going on in the news. Kyle's got 3 or 4 really good stories for us to talk about, and then we're going to look at Castlewood Terrace, one of the great Chicago historic districts. So that being said, let me first take off our names, and then I'm going to share my screen with you to show you statistics. And as usual, we talk about the Chicago lakefront communities. Let's talk single family homes first. Okay, so January, 30 homes closed. And that was it. That was a record. But Kyle?
Homes, you mean single family homes. These aren't condos. Yeah.
Right. This is single family homes. You and I predicted this based on the number of pendings that were, last month. We knew it was going to be slow. 30. And you can see 30 is well below any month in the last 10 years. Under contract, 58 was up a bit. I started with the bad news first. Can you tell? Homes for sale, we blipped up a little bit to 202. And median sales price of $1,254,000 is up 4.5%. So the theme that Kyle and I are trying to share with our clients is this, everybody, that even though, interest rates have gone up, even though there's like concern for inflation, the bottom line is there isn't a lot of inventory and there's still some buyers out there. And so we're not seeing price declines.
Well, we are seeing price declines for people who really need to move it, and for properties that are probably overpriced. I think we're seeing the price declines that we would normally see for properties that are overpriced. For properties that are right priced, they're going.
They're going, right.
And a lot of showings.
Month supply of single family homes, 2.1, and showings per listed, look at this.
Yeah, January woke up.
And we felt it, you and I have been talking about it, but here's the proof in the numbers. So that's really encouraging to see. In terms of condos, number of closed, 412. That was another record low month. 713 currently under contract is coming up. 2162 for sale. Compare that to September of 20. That's an error. September of 20 right here. That was during COVID where we had 6660. So we have less than a third on the market today than we had in September of 20.
Oh, yeah.
400,000 median sales price has been pretty much the same for the last 3 years. Month supply 2.3, and wait till you see this stat. Showings per listing 6.3. Now it says it was down versus the previous year. I don't know.
Oh, but last January was busy.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
We had a busy January. It's 4 point. But that's not.
And that would be right here. Yeah. 6.3, but that's good, right?
I'm having a ton of showings.
Yeah. Well, I've put a couple under contract this week, and the showings are strong. So yeah,
excellent.
Spring has sprung.
Well, you and I we've talked about how after the Super Bowl, things perk up generally. But in the last couple of years, it really started in January, and we're seeing that again. I think it'll be even faster right after the Super Bowl, which is next Sunday. So,
Yeah, I think people are used to the new normal on the interest rates, and they're dealing with it.
well, interest rates have been bobbling along sort of now like this, rather than like, you can't see my hand, people. There's my hand. There it is. Okay, never mind. Instead of going up, they're just sort of falling.
Well, we had our high in November of 7. Now we're right at 6-ish.
We're just bombing.
So, yeah.
Anyway. That's the jobs report. Freaks some people out and doesn't freak others out. God only knows the logic of the market.
Well, and I think the other thing that's impacting the market is rents are so high. Rents are so high that people understand that even with a 6% interest rate, it makes better sense to own.
Yeah. One of the things that's not in our news stories, but that was talked about is inflation rate across cities. And Chicago's inflation rate in December was 5.5%, which is high, but it's so much lower than other major metropolitan areas. And some of the other ones that I would have expected to see on that were 10th in the cities that were reporting. But certain cities that have had very high inflation, like Dallas and the Twin Cities, didn't report, or they didn't have the data in time for the story, so they're not included. So we would probably be below them because we were below them in previous months.
Right.
So it's really interesting. And what the reporters said was rent was driving a lot of that inflation.
Yeah.
And it's.
All right. Well, what else do you have for us today?
Well, let's news? So now I'm going to present, and hopefully people will do this in a way that is not. If I move this over here, can you still see it?
We're there. Yep.
Good. So Water Tower Place. And yes, I took this off the web. And yes, it's a terrible pixelated picture. Thank you, people. But you know what Water Tower Place is. It got taken over last year by MetLife. MetLife is a big life insurer. I don't think they do other insurance, but it's a big life insurance company. And they now effectively control, there are probably other investors, this mall. And this mall was iconic in the 70s and 80s, and now is sort of empty, as you can see from some of these pictures, some empty storefronts. Anyway, they're thinking about how do we get people back into this mall, get it used so it starts generating income. And they're thinking about turning the top floors, and I don't know if that's 1, 2, or 3 of the top floors, the top floor is 7, 6, and 5, into medical offices, sort of a medical suite. These off-campus medical offices are considered a big deal, and that would be a great use of the mall.
Right. There are already offices on the 8th and 9th floors of this building. And in fact, when I was fresh in real estate, I was working for Coldwell Banker on the 8th floor in this building. So,
but that's through another entrance.
Correct.
And my orthodontist was there when I was a kid. But because that has been a very profitable part of the mall, now they're thinking of expanding it into the larger mall.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
All righty. Second story, here's the reason why I'm sharing this with you people. All the bad news on
with
Michigan.
You people.
Yes,
Kyle.
All the bad news on Michigan Avenue is impacting the buildings in Streeterville.
Right.
We don't want Michigan Avenue to stay stagnant or lose ground in terms of relevance to our city. And so taking an enormous, what used to be an enormous asset, Water Tower Place, and making it relevant again, even if that relevancy is different, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right.
No, that's absolutely right. And people ask us that all the time because you're right. If it starts to flounder, if Michigan Avenue becomes the next State Street, if you will, then that will affect the property values around it. It needs to be robust and vibrant. And this is one of the solutions for making that happen. And I think it, given the retail,
I one day
situation, it's good.
last fall or at some point during the past year, tried to go in at 10 o'clock, tried to enter the mall. I'm like, what do you mean? It doesn't open until 11. The mall doesn't open until 11. It used to open at like 7:30 or 8. It's just weird. So we need to have that back. That is important to the city. Okay. The second story is, have you guys been following? This is a picture, an aerial photograph of the
You're at the corner, you're at the Old Town corner of North Avenue and Clark, right?
So it is what is starting to happen at this Old Town in Lincoln Park area. It is North Avenue, LaSalle, and Clark Street. And Fern Hill is one of the companies developing a number of these properties that are important to the city. So there's historic, and what was interesting is they did a Zoom presentation last Monday or Tuesday, one of the days, early last week. And what they did was they shared with us the plans for these properties, and they shared what they're trying to do is share as they go along and not get too far ahead of the community, which is actually a good thing. So they've been talking and talking and talking to the community, including the aldermen, and it was interesting.
Let me interrupt you 1 second here. For those of you who may not know what you're looking at, you'll see this triangle with the roof at the top. That's Moody Bible. And then, right?
This is where my finger is. Do you guys see my cursor?
Yeah. And then across the street, Chicago History Museum. Is that right?
That is the History Museum.
Toward the lake, toward the right of your screen. And then toward the left that's in the green, that's the parking lot that's been there for Moody Bible. And then as you go to the left, you'll see the roof of Walgreens, which it's out of the photo, but the far left bottom corner is Wells Street that Walgreens is located on.
This is Walgreens. Oopsie, sorry, people. Walgreens. This is Wells Street. Walgreens. This is the top of the old
Piper's Alley.
And one of the things that they talked about is one, these properties, this this Treasure Island, this parking lot that was owned by Moody, this property here, not the full property, this property, which is a Shell station, and this property that is a BP station, are all ready for development. And they're going to be developed in the next few years. One of the things that was very interesting is Fern Hill said that soon, and it's true, soon gas stations will be obsolete. So they're going to
go toward electric cars, you mean?
Yeah. This property, which is currently a wind trust and the church, those things aren't going anywhere yet. This property, do you see over to the right where I'm circling with that's the Latin school. And that's considered one of the historic buildings. The three historic buildings are the History Museum, Moody Church, and Latin School. But these areas need to be redeveloped. They said that they have a commitment. They control the old Treasure Island, this building, which is. They've, I guess, sold the parking. The air rights and the parking belong to 1660 North LaSalle. So that's a parking lot on top for this building just to the north. The only new construction that they envision, so they reported in this current phase, is this parking lot here, which is currently across the street from the Moody Church and the Shell station. And that's going to be a tower. They believe it is going to be a tower. They're working on getting the air rights. And they have to get the air rights apparently from the Moody Church. They don't want it too tall because that will impact other buildings, but it's going to be a nice size. So
yeah. That it's wasted as a one level, ground level parking right now for.
But the thing that is good for a community is that they're involving early on the neighbors to allow them to come along with them. So there isn't this complete resistance and obstinacy to plan development. So.
Except that corner is so busy right now. It's one of the busiest corners in the city. And here, I want to throw this out and play devil's advocate for a minute. Who wants to really develop this area? Well, maybe if you do moderately priced housing, but look at what they did with the Clark address and tried to put luxury in there, and nobody wanted to go in there. That was a bust of a development at 1550 Clark.
So first of all, I went to 1550 Clark on Sunday. Gorgeous.
Yeah, the units are gorgeous, but who wants to be on that corner?
I know, but I think in time that corner is going to get better with this kind of development. Okay. So, but my concern, and I share it with you, Anne, I'm in agreement. Where's the driveway for this?
Yeah.
How do you get into it? That is the busiest right turning corner in the city of Chicago.
People are making illegal right turns from the center lane all the time there because it's so insane.
It's insane. Yeah. So it will be very interesting to see where and how they organize the traffic to make this a viable thing. But they're going to try. There it goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, here's the parking lot. I knew I had.
Yeah, there you go. There's
the Treasure Island. There's the BP.
And people miss having a grocery store right there too. So
they spent more time talking about Treasure Island and replacing Treasure Island than almost anything else, because that is what the neighborhood cares about.
Yeah.
The third story is this is a cute Italianate wooden house on Burling, on the 2200 block of Burling. And it was built in the 1870s, as Anne has pointed out, like so many of our properties are over 100 years old. Representing.
Horrible.
I know it looks charming. It is apparently a wreck. And to do the things to keep it up would cost a homeowner more money than the homeowner that sold this property has. The property was sold to the people who live. Do you see where my cursor is?
Yes, I do. The brick building beyond it. Yeah.
To this building. Let's see. Do I have another picture? No, I don't. To this building here, which used to be a multi-unit building that has been turned into a single-family home. A guy in real estate and his wife own that home, and they bought the neighboring property, and they've applied for a permit to demolish it. And that permit has been not denied, the permit has been postponed. A decision on the permit was postponed for 90 days. They've applied in November, and it's coming up again. Now, Anne, what do you know about orange tagging?
Let's talk about that. The Chicago Landmarks Commission did a survey, and you can find it in the City of Chicago website, where they identified all of the properties that are important to the historic value of Chicago, if you will. Some are tagged red, and those under no circumstances can be knocked down. Others are orange, which means they're pretty significant to the history of Chicago, and they don't want those knocked down. And then you've got some yellows, but it's really the oranges that are, and there are a significant number of these oranges. When we list properties, we check to see if they're on this list, because I wouldn't sell to a developer if something was an orange, because I don't know. I have as everybody knows, I have a thing for historic homes.
Well, Burling is part of the National Sheffield Historic District.
Right.
We're talking about Old Town has its own one. Sheffield, the Sheffield neighborhood has one.
So this neighborhood is both in the National Park Service and in the Chicago Landmark District. And we had a situation not too long ago where, and now all of a sudden it's escaping me, where somebody wanted to knock one down in one of these districts. It might have been Old Town. And it was a big brouhaha.
Well, but so why this is in the news is that there's a meeting, I believe it's tomorrow. It's this week, where the Commission on Chicago Landmarks will be meeting. Neighborhood preservationists have gathered 2,000 signatures to try and block demolition.
Well, the other thing that's interesting too, Kyle, is this is a big real estate guy that owns this.
Yeah.
So
he paid $2 million for that land. The property on, the Zestimate is 1.2. He paid $2 million for this.
Just for the privilege of knocking it down so he can have a side yard.
We understand. We don't know what, he's not a friend of mine. I do not know what is planned for this property, but it's my understanding from the neighborhood gossip is they want a side yard.
And we're seeing this more and more in the city. I mean, we see it on the 1900 block of Burling where they've knocked things down and built big homes on 50, 100 foot wide lots. As you all know, a 25 foot wide is a typical lot. 50 foot is a good sized lot. It's nearly impossible to find anything wider than 50 feet unless you're on Castlewood, which we'll look at next.
Yeah.
But so you've got to tear things down. And, this hits really close to home because, we raised our kids in a 50 foot wide double four square. And the people who bought our home took the house next to it and tore it down for a side yard. And it broke our hearts. And it also there's an architect who's very well known in our neighborhood who's really been instrumental in preserving. He was so looking forward to doing the renovation on that house that was torn down because it was the last example of colonial revival in the neighborhood. And so that is now gone. So, you also don't see a lot of clabbered Italianate homes in Chicago. And like the one we're looking at right here.
I'm going to be the devil's advocate. I grew up in Old Town, and my parents in the early 70s, before there was a historic district, tore down 2 workers' cottages and built a modern, interesting house that stands today and is known today as one of the great houses in Old Town. And so neighborhoods should be allowed to change. We don't have to keep everything static. So I would think I would be more open or happier if this weren't just being torn down so somebody could have a playpen, and instead decided to put up something that said high future. This is the future.
Right.
Let's build something that is interesting, that is a future thing, rather than I need some space. But listen.
Well, and this block too, to the point that you made earlier when we were talking about it, across the street are these beautiful red brick row homes, historic. This is an historic street. So
it is a historic street, but it also then suggests there's room for the new. So I don't know, because the new and the old have to speak to each other. The answer is smarter people than I will be doing it. So, here's a picture of the interior. Sorry, people. So, sweet. Alrighty, that's all I have.
Well, since we're talking about historic homes, I wanted to share with you, and today we're not going to talk about how to take advantage of historic tax freezes, but perhaps we should talk about that next time.
Yeah, let's do it.
But we were talking about the typical lot being only 25 feet wide. Castlewood Terrace is at about 4,900 North, comes right off of Marine Drive. So it's like a block off the lakefront. If your kids played AYSO up at Margate Park, Castlewood Terrace. So let me pull it over here so I can change the pages. All right, 824 Castlewood, $3 million just went under contract. This is the back of it. 6 bedroom, 5 full, 1/2 bath, 65 square feet. Now, there's no alley behind this, so the lot depth is only 114. It's 4 city lots, 100 feet wide, built in 1913.
I grew up playing on that block. The houses didn't look like that when I was playing on it.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I just thought it was fun eye candy to look.
Oh.
So this is the back deck. The sun makes it look a little funny here, but
I think it looks beautiful.
Look at the width on that lot.
Beautiful.
Yeah. All right. 824 Castlewood, currently for sale for $1,995,000. This is on a 50 by 114 and is only 3 bedroom, 3 full, 2 half, 4,155 square feet.
But it's such a cute house. All that light.
Yeah.
And trees. It's charming.
It's a This is a very special area. Okay, so the back slate tile here and back patio, these are the stairs that go up to the roof deck. Here you can see the roof over the garage roof deck. Here's another, you can see the garage to the left. This must be a weird wide angle lens because this driveway looks skinny. All right, 905 Castlewood, 2,999, so almost 3 million. This is almost a modernist inside. Whoops, let me go back. 5 bedroom, 3 full, 2 half bath, 5,400 square feet on a 50 by 114.
And they really stripped it out.
Yeah. It's like a Danish modern kind of look, isn't it? Although this tile's kind of with the big windows. Yeah, what would you say? Late 70s, early 80s on that renovation?
It's too bad because those are cute houses. Yeah.
Yeah. See, look at that. This is the bedroom with the primary closet.
Ooh.
Very contemporary.
Yeah.
All right. And here's my listing. Okay. So we reduced it by $100,000. So you just saw homes that were priced between $2 and $3 million, right? We're the bargain on the block, people. Actually, I had 4 showings on this since we reduced the price. Didn't have a showing for 3 months. Yeah. Here's your interior.
And you got to do some work on this one. It's all right.
Yes, you do have to do work on it. So this was owned by J.B. Ross, entertainment attorney. Studs Terkel lived on this street. I mean, it's a really famous block.
Yeah.
A little bit of work to do there, but it's a bargain, folks.
It's a gut job, but it's a bargain. And look at what you can turn it into.
That's absolutely right. So that's it.
That's it. Well, that's an interesting. Those are really interesting opportunities on that block. I'm surprised. It usually does not have that many homes for sale at one time.
Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And so I think next week we should spend 5 minutes talking about how you can buy it in a historic home and renovate it and save on your property taxes. We haven't done that.
Talk about it. You've done it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And then we'll, I don't know. What else? Does anybody have any questions? Send them in to us. Let us know. And things are picking up. It's still a very good time to be buying, though, because we're not seeing multiple offers really in a lot of places yet. But it's a good time to buy. And it's a good time to list because there's no inventory.
Agreed. All righty.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.